welcome to this week's QPR Preview Show. I ended last week's show saying I expected us to maybe get 1 point maximum from the games against Leeds and Coventry. It was worse than that. We got no points, rightly so. Again, I think really after Saturday's performance, dropping into the bottom three was what we could only expect. It was a poor performance against Coventry. We followed that up with a narrow but probably deserved defeat against Leeds. In episode 9, we're going to be looking ahead to the last match before the international break. That's against Blackburn. But first, let's try and dissect those last two games. It feels like QPR have gone backwards recently, not just in the last two games. Gone down the league table, like I mentioned. And from 0-0 at half-time against Coventry on Saturday, it's not really been a great week since, has it?
No, not really. I mean, first half was okay against Coventry Saturday. I thought we were marginally the better side, but it wasn't amazing. But it was a bit like last season in the second half when it was just a collapse. As soon as they got the first goal, it was a collapse. And yeah, it was offside, and that makes a big difference. We keep saying the first goal in our matches is huge, so we were a bit unlucky for that. But the reaction was poor. We were so wide open and all over the place. It was Coventry just picked us off at ease. Yeah, it was just disappointing. There's just such a lack of quality in that final third. It's not just a forward. It's just final ball. On Saturday, so often we got wide and the cross or the pass was poor. And same thing again tonight. A number of times, I think Powell's had a good start to the season, but 3-4 times second half he was in on the left and cross hit the first man each time. And it's like, come on, we're not going to get many chances. You've got to do better than this.
Yeah, Smith as well. He obviously got took off at half time against Leeds, but I feel like he had a blistering start to the season. He's kind of regressing quickly the QPR way, isn't it? Where you seem to make players worse. But last couple of games, he's not been as effective. And his crossing, you're talking about crossing, he just doesn't seem to have any crossing ability whatsoever at the moment. Every single one, he just seems to just put his foot through it. A lot of them are going out for throw-ins on the other side. And it all needs to improve because we're not looking like a threat. We're not going to score. We're not going to get points from games. Against Leeds, we just shot ourselves in the foot, didn't we? It felt like our whole game plan was built around getting a 0-0. So to concede so early, go 1-0 down, it felt like game over. And it felt like Leeds even knew it as well, because it's not like they kept threatening throughout the whole match, is it?
No, and we gifted them the goal as well. I mean, we had the ball and Kakai's and a poor pass to Smith. To be honest, I think Smith should just let it go out for a throw-in, but he tries to keep it in and they break on us. And, it was comfortable for Leeds after that. They were the better side, I thought. But the only positive I can think of tonight is that they stayed in the game. And they did have a few, they got in good positions and had a few chances late on. But again, just lack of quality. They didn't really a lot of scoring. I think they could still be playing on Saturday and they wouldn't have scored. Just not there, is it?
No, I agree though. The positive, I think, from the Leeds performance is that we didn't just mentally lose it, because against Coventry, we saw those signs again. I know some decisions went against us. It was offside, like you said, the first goal, the penalty decision didn't go our way. But our heads were all over the place. Coventry could have ended up probably 4-5 ahead. Our goal was only a consolation. So to at least go behind against Leeds, I thought this is going to be 5-0 once they scored. But at least we stuck in there. That was important that we kept going, because if we keep showing signs like last season where we concede a goal and it's game over. I know it was game over, but you know what I mean. At least we hung in there and we didn't just mentally collapse.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting, once the first win, I was thinking the same as you, 4-5 here, thinking I'll turn this off at half time. But yeah, they stuck with it. I mean, 1-0 is not, and it's not a good result because we lost, but it's not a disastrous result. We've not been hammered up there, but it's the same problems that we've been having all the time. We just don't look like we've got enough goals in us, and we haven't addressed it in the summer, and it's a problem for us.
It is. So 0 points last week, 22nd place now, as I said, going into this match with Blackburn. And I always dread playing Blackburn. I said it a few times last season when we played them, because looking at our history, it's clear why. Obviously, at Ewood Park, that's becoming a bit like the City ground where we just never win there. So normally we'd be glad to be at home. But as we all know, QPR being at home now, 1 win in 20, so we might as well be away. Doesn't look good, whichever way you look at it. Overall, as well, against Blackburn, it's only 5 wins in the last 33 games against them since 2000, only 3 in 23. But if we could pick a team to play right now, aside from Sheffield Wednesday, maybe it would be Blackburn. They come into this on the back of 4 defeats in a row. It's actually 5 defeats in 6. Another team, though, if we ever want to win at home, we have to beat a team who's on a run of form like that, don't we?
You have to put these teams away. I mean, the run of form at the minute, I think it's 10 without a win at home at the minute, isn't it? And if we don't win on Saturday, it's the worst in our history, which is absolutely abysmal. And it seems incredible to me. But you know, it's a winnable game. Blackburn are not a great side. They've done well last season, but they've lost Diaz up front. Obviously, and they look like they really miss him. I think they'll be okay. I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle, but they're not quite what they were, and it's a game we should attack and try and win.
Yeah, I think that their defeats were against, I think, Leicester, Ipswich, Sunderland, Coventry. So they were good teams they've lost to, but they're still going to be low on confidence. We're at home. We have to attack this game and hope we can win. They're not a happy camp either. Another club going through budget cuts, like you say, lost some big players. Manager, I noticed, has been criticised for some overly attacking tactics. They conceded a lot of goals. But as much as we may see this as a winnable fixture, they're on a bad run. They're going to be looking and seeing like QPR. This is a fixture they're going to be thinking to get their season back on track, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anyone playing us has got to fancy themselves at the minute, haven't they? You know, they're going to have obviously watched us. We haven't got that much in the final third. We're going to be missing players at the weekend. Fields now suspended. I'll assume Begovic will win his appeal on the red card and play, but you never know with how referees are at the minute. You know, Colback and Cook went off injured, so it's not looking great for us at the weekend. We're not going to have that strong a side out. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. You know, I mean, they'll come expecting to win, I think, even though they're in poor form. But, we've got to take advantage of this game.
Yeah, I think we have. Like, they've conceded a lot as well. I think 21 goals, one of the most in the league. If we can't score here, if we can't get points here, it is going to ramp the pressure up on Ainsworth, which we might touch on in a little while anyway. For QPR, you touched on what the team selection issues are going to be already. Begovic, they must appeal it. He clearly, to me, did not touch the guy. I think Bamford even seemed to go at first. Like, he didn't touch me, a little bit like we had against Burnley last season, I think it was, where the referee still gives it, even though the player seems to be suggesting it's not. Begovic may be still there, but Colback looks like he's going to be out injured because he didn't look comfortable at all. Field, as you said, 5 bookings. He's now suspended. Can you pick a midfield?
Well, I can't pick a good midfield. We can pick a midfield, but I don't know what he'll do. I mean, you got to look at Dazelle. Will start. Obviously, I thought he did okay when he come on tonight. I suppose it's going to be Duke McKenna come in unless he moves Powell into midfield, which he spoke about before. Maybe play Chair deeper. There's not a lot of options, really, is there? I mean, it's got to be Duke McKenna, I suppose. If those two are definitely, if Colback's definitely out, it's not ideal to have this and then a must-win game, really, is it? We can't really afford to lose this game after the run we've been on recently. But yeah, the midfield. I mean, the midfield worries me when they're all fit, let alone when we've got probably the best two out missing the weekend.
Yeah. I think it could be either Duke McKenna or Dixon Bonner if Colback isn't fit, but he hasn't really had much faith in them recently. He's not even been bringing them off the bench. So the big ask to then throw them into what is a big match, like you say, really probably falls into the must not lose category, doesn't it? I don't think he can afford to lose this one. Cook went off injured too. I maybe looked a little bit more precautionary. But if we can't field our strongest team, and our strongest team even struggles, it's just not helping our chances, is it? And they've been trying to prevent injuries. Even that's not looking good.
Yeah, they've made such a big thing about how they're preventing injuries and they're doing all this fitness stuff and they're dropping like flies again, aren't they? I think they're going to have a bit of egg on their face if these big players are out for a little while. Cook seemed to be struggling a little bit on Saturday as well. He was going down and I didn't think he was going to last the game, but he did. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's missing his 3 games in a short space of time. So, yeah, looks like it's going to be down to the bare bones. And that's the big problem with the squad. The first 11 is okay. And I think he's good enough to stay up, but go beneath that, and that is a poor team, unfortunately.
It is, and as we might see on Saturday now, it's youth players once you take those first teamers away, isn't it? And hopefully they can rise to the challenge. Cook, I think they rushed him back in because we've seen now with Reggie Cannon, no sign of him. Jack Colback was made to wait 2 or 3 games. Cook, because we lost 4-0 at Watford, he was thrown straight in, and I think he's been struggling the last 10, 15 minutes of most games, as you've noticed yourself, and he's maybe going to struggle for a little while because they didn't have the time to bed him in like the others. Big question, of course, it's the same every week, isn't it? But where are the goals coming from? We've alluded to it already. But he's tried different combinations. He's tried Willock and Dykes. He's tried Willock and Armstrong. He's tried Dykes off the bench, Armstrong off the bench. None of the combinations really seem to change much, do they? We still don't have much of a threat. It's like one good chance per game, really. And apart from that, it's a lot of huffing and puffing. And it's going to be a long winter if we can't keep getting any goals, isn't it?
Yeah, it does baffle me though that the home game against Coventry, we start with one up front in Dykes, and then we go away to Leeds, who you think are going to be around the top three, and we start with two up front. It's like, why didn't we do that in the home game, which was a more winnable game? I know Coventry played well and deserved to win, but that was the one you go and attack. Surely, I don't get it. He's got to start both of them, Dykes and Armstrong, on the weekend. Again, even tonight, I really didn't understand. I know Begovic was sent off, and what can you do? But why put Dykes in goal when you're 1-0 down? Just put him up. Put anyone in goal. He's just centre forward. You need a goal. I didn't get that at all tonight. But there you go. I think them two have got to start on Saturday. Armstrong and Dykes. They're the best two forwards we've got. The only two forwards we've got. So start with them.
Yeah, I think he's got to try something different soon, though, if this keeps persisting with the lack of just overall sustained threat in games. Maybe he's got to move Chair into the centre from the left. Maybe that's not working. Get him on the flick downs from them, behind them. Something's got to change because it's just not working. And for Gareth Ainsworth, there's been lots of calls for him already, I noticed, to go after Coventry. Fans probably giving him the benefit of the doubt the first part of the season. We had those few wins away from home, kept us ticking along. But now 5 without a win, the calls for him to go are going to be very strong if we lose to Blackburn, aren't they?
Yeah, he's got no credit in the bank from last season. Really, it was poor last year, wasn't it? It's been an improvement in the effort of the team. You can see they're all fighting for each other, and there's more of a team spirit about them. But results haven't improved, and the quality hasn't really improved. I think he's in trouble, and especially when Neil Warnock's out of work at the moment, and has made it quite clear he wants a job. Fans are going to be saying, well, why don't we just go and get Warnock in? And, I can see that happening at some point if he doesn't go Sheffield Wednesday before we do anything. But Ainsworth's definitely under pressure. You follow up the Blackburn game, we've got Huddersfield away, and we've got Leicester coming up soon as well. I mean, that's probably the game we'll win, Leicester, isn't it? But you can't realistically see us getting anything out of that.
No, I think the one team Warnock won't go to is Sheffield Wednesday, but it's a nightmare timing for every manager with him being there lingering in the background, isn't it? Personally, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know whether they'll ever sack him, but personally, I wouldn't now. As I would have got rid of him at the end of last season, as I said a lot in our end of season shows, because it clearly wasn't really working with him. He wasn't the right fit. But now we've just kind of got to stick with him and see where we go, because changing managers in the season just doesn't work for QPR. And really, if we're sacking him, are we saying the expectations have changed? Because we all predicted we were going to struggle. We all predicted we'd probably be bottom 3. If you thought after 10 games we'd be 22nd, nobody would have been shocked. So for us all to be saying, oh, you've got to sack the manager, it just doesn't stack up though, does it?
No, and I don't think they will sack him. I think he'll get at least another 5-6 games before that becomes a serious consideration. But he is going to have to get results soon, because the style of play isn't great to watch. And if you're losing every week, especially with the way we are at home, you can't expect to get much support from fans. So he's made some improvements, but nowhere near enough yet. And we're looking at a hell of a lot of trouble.
You do. It looks like, I say, a long winter ahead, whatever happens, because every point it just feels like it's going to be a point closer to safety. It's the only way we can view them already. Prediction time then for this one. A good stat was going around this week, wasn't it? That Coventry and Sunderland have won more games at Loftus Road in 2023 than QPR. Do you think we're going to be adding Blackburn to the list?
Unfortunately, yes. I thought just law of averages we'd probably win at the weekend, but now you got Field out and the other injuries and potentially Begovic out. I just don't see us being strong enough to get anything, I'm afraid. I know Blackburn are on a poor run, but so are we. I think Blackburn will beat us weekend, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm pretty much the same, mainly because I just can't see us scoring 2 or 3 goals, which is what we're probably going to need to win a match. Confidence will be getting lower naturally amongst the players. Crowd are now understandably edgy as well. We've seen some signs that when adversity kicks in against Coventry, that we struggled. just all points towards a struggle, as does the fact that Blackburn have lost 4 in a row, because QPR always seem to be the one to get teams back up and running again. And it's a shame that we're saying all this, because there was a bit of optimism, wasn't there, only just a month ago after we beat Middlesbrough. But the last few weeks, we've all come back down to earth a little bit, haven't we, do you think?
Yeah, it's back to reality a bit, wasn't it? It was all looking like, oh, actually, maybe we won't be as bad as we thought. But these last couple of games, especially the home ones, has been like, oh, yeah, no, we're not very good, are we?
No. Well, let's hope it changes on Saturday. I'm sure we'll all enjoy the 2 week break from QPR, whatever the result is. We'll be back refreshed in 2 weeks' time as we preview the matches against Huddersfield and West Brom. It's a double header straight away. Until then, keep the faith. Come on, you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.